The limo stopped right in front of the house that once threw me out like trash. People stared as the driver opened the door. My stepmother's smile froze, her face turning pale. She whispered my name like she'd seen a ghost. But I wasn't back to cry. I came back to expose the truth. Before I begin, if you've ever been betrayed by your own people, press like and subscribe, because this isn't just my story. This is a warning and a lesson. Stay till the end because the truth about my identity shocked everyone. Now, listen carefully. This is the story of how I was thrown out at 14 and how I returned years later in a billionaire's limo. People think rich homes are safe, but sometimes the biggest houses hide the darkest pain. My father was a respected businessman. He worked in trade and shipping, warehouses, cargo, contracts. People feared him outside, but inside our home, I was powerless. My real mother died when I was young. I barely remember her face clearly, only her warmth. After she left, the house turned cold. My father tried to fill the silence with gifts, but love cannot be replaced by money. Then my stepmother came. At first, she acted sweet. She smiled too much, spoke softly, and called me my daughter in front of everyone. Guests loved her. My father trusted her. But when my father left for work, her real face appeared. Her eyes became sharp, her voice became cold. Her kindness disappeared like it was never real. Slowly, she began to treat me like I didn't belong in my own home. She didn't hit me every day. She didn't scream all the time. Her cruelty was smarter than that. She did small things that broke my spirit. She forgot to serve me food. She lost my school uniform. She blamed me when something went missing. If I spoke up, she called me ungrateful. If I cried, she called me dramatic. One day, she stood near a photo of my mother and stared at it with hate. Then she looked at me and said, "Do you know what I hate the most about you?" I stayed silent. She smiled with poison. "You look like her." That sentence burned my heart. She wasn't competing with me. She was competing with my mother's memory, and she wanted to erase it. She even started telling me, "Your father only keeps you here because he feels guilty." Every day I became smaller, quieter. I learned to walk softly in the house. I learned to keep my eyes down. I learned to survive without being noticed. But she still hated me. Because her hate wasn't about my actions. It was about my existence. When I was 14, something happened that changed everything. My father had an office room in the house, always locked, but one afternoon the door was slightly open. I don't know what pulled me inside. Maybe curiosity, maybe destiny. The room smelled like leather and paper. I walked slowly, then noticed a drawer half open. I pulled it. Inside was a heavy gold necklace with a deep green stone. I stared at it like it was alive. Then I opened the folder. I couldn't understand the legal words, but I saw one phrase again and again: sole beneficiary. I didn't fully know what it meant, but it sounded important, dangerous. Before I could think, footsteps rushed behind me. I turned. My stepmother stood there. Her eyes were filled with fear. Not anger, fear. She grabbed my wrist and hissed, "What are you doing?" I tried to explain, "This is about my mom." She slapped me so hard my vision blurred. Then she whispered, "If you touch these things again, you will regret being born." She snatched everything and locked the drawer. That day, I learned something shocking. She wasn't just cruel. After that, her hate became louder, stronger. Then came the day she finally destroyed my life. One evening, my father hosted a dinner with rich guests. My stepmother wore diamonds and acted like a queen. I was told to stay upstairs. Later, she called me down to greet everyone. After the guests left, she suddenly screamed like she was dying. "My bracelet! It's gone!" She ran around and then pointed straight at me. I saw her near it. I froze. No, I didn't touch anything. My father looked confused, tired. Then my stepmother grabbed my bag and dumped it on the floor, and the bracelet fell out. I couldn't breathe. I stared at it like it was a snake. She cried loudly, "See? I told you!" I screamed, "I didn't steal it! Someone planted it!" My father's eyes became cold. Why would she lie? That sentence broke me, because it meant he already believed her. That night he didn't hug me, didn't protect me. He punished me with silence. And 2 days later, he left for a trip. That was her chance. The next morning, she walked into my room without knocking. She threw a suitcase at my feet. "Pack," she said. I stared. "What?" "You're leaving." My chest tightened. "Where will I go?" She shrugged like I was nothing. "A shelter, the streets, I don't care." I started shaking. "Dad would never!" She pulled out papers. My father's signature was there. I couldn't understand the full document, but I understood enough. He had signed something. He allowed it. I fell to my knees, begging, "Please, I'll do anything. Please don't throw me out." She smiled. "I know you will. That's why you must leave before you become a problem." That night, she pushed me outside. Cold wind hit my face. I turned back, crying, knocking. But the door didn't open. The lock clicked. And in one moment, I lost everything. I was 14 years old. That night, the world showed me what it really was. Cars passed, people didn't care, men stared in a way that made my skin crawl. I sat at a bus stop, hugging my knees, feeling the cold enter my bones. I kept checking the road, hoping my father would come. But he didn't. I cried silently, whispering, "I will survive. I won't die here." I slept behind a closed shop with my suitcase beside me. My stomach burned with hunger, my heart burned with betrayal, and my soul burned with a promise. One day, I would return, not as a victim, but as a storm. The next morning, I sat outside a bakery. The smell of bread made me feel weak. An older woman came out and looked at me. Her face softened. "Baby," she asked gently, "where is your family?" My throat tightened. I don't have one anymore. She didn't ask too many questions. She went back inside and came out with warm bread and tea. I ate like I hadn't eaten in years. Her name was Miss Lillian. She didn't treat me like garbage. She treated me like a human. She took me to a youth shelter and helped me get registered. She gave me old clothes. She even offered me a job helping in her bakery. At night, she gave me a small room behind the bakery storage area. It wasn't luxury, but it was safe. And for the first time in a long time, I slept without fear. Life didn't become easy. It became possible. I worked at the bakery and studied hard. I got support from community programs. I read books late into the night. I became obsessed with improving myself. I learned one thing: pain can break you or build you. I chose to let it build me. Years passed. I became strong, quietly. And at 18, my path changed again. One day, while delivering bakery goods to a luxury hotel, I slipped in the rain. Bread rolled everywhere. People walked around me like I was invisible. But one man stopped. He helped me pick up every roll. He said, "Are you hurt?" I shook my head. He looked at my uniform and said, "You work hard." That simple sentence almost made me cry. He introduced himself. He owned the hotel. He invited me inside and asked about my life. I didn't tell everything, but I told enough. He leaned back and said, "You're not meant to stay small." He offered training and support, not charity, but opportunity. That's when I entered the world of luxury hospitality and high-end real estate. I worked harder than anyone. I learned how rich people think, how they hide things, how they move power through papers. I became valuable, and slowly I climbed higher. One night, Miss Lillian gave me my old suitcase. She said, You came to me broken, but I always knew you had something rare inside of you. I opened the suitcase, and inside, hidden in the lining, I found a small folded letter. It was written in my mother's handwriting. I trembled while reading. It said, "The necklace is a key. Find the man by the sea, in the White House with the iron gate. Tell him my daughter is ready." My breath stopped. Suddenly, I understood why my stepmother was scared, because there was a truth, bigger than her lies. I searched for months until I found the White House with the iron gate. When the gate opened, an old man stepped out. He looked at me and said, "You have your mother's eyes." He invited me in, and then he told me everything. My mother wasn't ordinary. She came from a wealthy legacy family, connected to international ports, luxury resorts, and trade contracts. A hidden fortune. But she had enemies, greedy relatives who wanted control. So she married my father to protect her child, to hide me. Then she died, and her assets were locked in a trust until I became old enough. The necklace was proof, the key. And my stepmother? She wasn't just evil. She was hired by those greedy people to erase me, to ensure I never claimed what was mine. My whole body went numb. My childhood wasn't just abuse, it was a planned destruction. When the legal date arrived, I claimed everything. And that's how I became a billionaire. I waited until I was ready, because money doesn't heal trauma, but it gives you power to face it. Years later, my father's house hosted a charity gala. My stepmother was there, greeting rich guests, acting like a queen. Then my black limo arrived. People stared. Whispers filled the air. The driver opened the door slowly. I stepped out. Calm, elegant, powerful. I walked into the same house that once threw me out. My stepmother's smile died instantly. She whispered my name like she was seeing a ghost. I leaned close and said softly, "Hello, I'm home." Inside, my father saw me. His face turned pale. His hands shook. I stared at him and said, "You let her throw me out." The whole room went silent. My stepmother snapped, "She's lying." I smiled. "Then you wouldn't mind evidence." My lawyer stepped forward with documents. Then I held up the necklace. "This is not jewelry," I said. "This is proof." My lawyer announced who I really was. The crowd gasped. My stepmother stumbled back. Then the biggest twist came. "She wasn't just cruel," I said. "She was hired." The room froze. I exposed the bank transfers, the deals, the truth. My father broke down, whispering, "I failed you." I looked at him and said, "Yes, you did." That night, my stepmother lost everything: status, respect, and safety. Not by violence, by truth. My father begged for forgiveness. I didn't scream, I didn't insult. I just said quietly, "You didn't protect me when I was a child, so don't ask me to protect your feelings today." Then I walked away, because my return wasn't about living there again. It was about closing the chapter. If this story touched your heart, don't stay silent. Like this video and subscribe, because these stories aren't just entertainment, they are lessons. Comment this: "Karma never forgets." Because they threw me out at 14, but I returned as the truth they couldn't bury. And remember this: you can break a child's home, but you can't break destiny.